Hello and welcome to the zFairs tutorial for middle school students and teachers in Massachusetts for grades 6 through 8. This slideshow will go through the pathway for participation for students, a paperwork overview, teacher instructions, and student instructions. To start out with a pathway for participation, schools and districts might have a fair, but you can also promote students directly to the regional or state fair according to the rules that are outlined in the manual. Homeschool students or students who do not have support of their schools do have a path to participation, but please do contact us for details in advance to making plans. Students should participate in a regional fair and they're eligible for promotion to the state fair based on that placement. So do find your regional science and engineering fair information at scifair.com/fairs or on the zFairs page at the top of the tab. You also have the option for direct entry to send students to the state fair, but that does need to go through the teachers to be authorized. And then the top 10% of projects at both the regional and the state fair are eligible to submit an application for the Thermo Fisher Junior Innovators Challenge, which is the national competition. We can provide more information. All students who want to participate in the regional or state science and engineering fair submit paperwork to the statewide scientific review site. This is mams.zfairs.com. Stands for MA for Massachusetts, MS for middle school. If students are in grades 9 through 12, they would go to mahs.zfairs.com. The deadlines for the regional fairs are based on the schedule for the regional fair. So the deadlines are 1 month before the regional fairs, the final deadlines for projects to be submitted to participate and marked ready for review. But some projects do need to be reviewed before experimentation, so students should submit as soon as possible, especially for projects that require several months of work. 10 days before the regional fair will be the deadline for teachers to notify regional chairs about which projects from their school will participate. So please do keep an eye out for any communication. Projects do need to comply with all the rules and the research and safety regulations. You can find information on the fairs page or at mams.zfairs.com. Please do consult the ethics statement to make sure that projects are students' own design and their own work. Should also see the new information about using AI for projects. If you are at a school with a large number of projects, the teachers can contact us to help identify ways to streamline the process and review deadlines. This is the map of all 6 regions in Massachusetts. Again, you can find more information at the Regional and State Fair tab at mams.zfairs.com. You can search for your town on that tab if you're not sure what region you're in. You want to review, before you get started, you want to review the Science Fair Ready FAQs. You should be selecting a topic and category for your project. You can find the link on these slides or on the resources page at scifair.com. You can review the middle school manual for rules. Again, the manual is several pages long. You can always use the Control F or other search function to find specific topics or keywords in addition to the table of contents. You want to determine your project approach, what are the steps you're going to take, the materials you're going to need, etc. Students do need to coordinate with their teacher and their adult sponsor for the project. That may be the same person, it may be 2 different people. So do review the roles of adults in the manual if you're working with several. Make sure your teacher sets up their account in zFairs first. Okay, so I'm going to go through the paperwork overview for middle school. So the middle school paperwork is a bit simpler than the high school paperwork, but what's really important is you want to complete your project plan before your zFairs accounts are created so you have everything all at once ready to go. All these forms are available in a combined paperwork packet. You can find the link here. Forms 1A and 1B are the research plan and the permissions that you need, and that's required for all projects. Projects that involve human-informed consent, so anything that has humans testing devices or being surveyed or doing activities requires Form C, and that requires approval before experimentation. And anything that's in restricted areas, and I'll go through those details, requires Form D, which is a supervisor form. And that also requires approval from SRC before experimentation. So this paperwork packet is familiar for those that were around last year. All of the forms are bundled together. It also includes forms for up to 3 team members. So there's 3 different permissions forms. If you are only an individual or only a team of 2, then obviously you will leave some of those forms blank. There are directions on that embedded cover page if you need some more information. And you can download the packet on the main page of mams.zfair.com. For the fairs, we have no later than deadlines. What this means is that you should set a goal deadline that works for your project. So there's enough time for review, about 2 weeks, as well as enough time for experimentation. So think about what project, how much time you need for your project, and then set a deadline with enough time to get that review to happen. However, the review should be no later than a month before your fair. So plan ahead and submit ahead, and you want to make sure as well that you are submitting forms that are as complete and thorough as possible so the reviewers can quickly figure out what it is that you want to do and that they can approve it easily. The permissions page, all of the signatures are on this one page for the participation for all the students. So this is an opportunity for students to confirm that they've read the rules, for parents and guardians to do that as well. And then there's 2 boxes, one for the teacher, one for the adult sponsor. In some cases, this is the same person. In some cases, the teacher is providing permission from the school for the student to participate, but the adult sponsor is providing more of the scientific oversight for the project. The policies that you will need to reference are on zFair.com. They're also linked as QR codes and with short URLs on that cover sheet if you need to find those. The research plan is Form 1B. This is the second form in the packet. Again, there's 1 per team, and there's 2 pages of this. So this is where you'll put some information about your project. This is filled out as a fillable PDF. However, if you need more space, please make sure that your text is not getting too small because we will not be able to read it. If you need to, you can add additional pages and merge the PDF together, or there's a spot later they'll show you for adding additional paperwork. On this form, you will see a reminder of what things are not allowed, what materials are not allowed at the middle school level. It's really important when you go through your materials and your plan that you think about it like a recipe. You want to be as thorough as possible so that the reviewer knows that you've taken into consideration different factors and they know what you're planning on doing. So these are the questions that are going to be on your research plan. So you can take these questions and you can create your own research plan document, again, that you submit as an addendum, but you want to make sure that you're covering all of these pieces. As I mentioned, Form C is the informed consent form. So if you're using human subjects as testers for your device, you're surveying them, you're doing some sort of behavioral analysis, any of that that involves humans other than yourself and your teammates requires this form to be filled out. On this form, you will fill out the information about what are the risks, how are you protecting your subjects, and then there's area at the bottom for signatures. You will have this approved in terms of what you will show your participants, and once approved, you'll get those signatures from each of the participants to have for your files. The designated supervisor, this is who is directly supervising your project if there's risks that need to be assessed or mitigated. So if there's risks you need to identify, this is a risk, and how you're going to protect against that. That's what mitigation is. So in this case, this will be filled out by that supervisor. If you fill this out, it means that project requires pre-approval before experimentation starts. So this is anything with potentially harmful biological agents. It's anything with hazardous chemicals or devices. So a rule of thumb is if you're using anything that you can't get at the grocery store, or that you're using it in larger quantities, or something that's not, you're using it not as it's intended and not the everyday use, then you probably need additional permission. Okay, so teachers, if you did not create an account last year in mams.zfairs.com, you will want to start by creating an account. You need to create your account before any students can create an account and link to you. You can review information on the resources page. Again, there's information on the MAMS page. If you have a large school program, you can contact us. We can help you navigate deadlines or different ways to streamline the process or access to all your school projects if you have different teachers working on them. If you have questions at any time, please do reach out to us, reach out to your regional chair. We are more than happy to help. The role of teachers is that communication through zFairs and from the SRC goes to the teacher. We want to make sure that the teachers and the school that are sponsoring the student are always aware of what's going on with the student's participation. Again, in some cases, the teacher is also the adult sponsor, but not always. So this right here is what the teacher needs to do as teacher, not necessarily as adult sponsor. So you want to review the MSEF as well as the school ethics statements with the student. You want to make sure they're following the rules they need to follow. You're providing permission on that paperwork packet as the teacher. You create the account and you mark that ready when it's ready for review. This is because we want to make sure that if the student said they were doing something, that what they've actually uploaded is what you agreed that they could do. So you will also monitor communication from the SRC, from the region, from the state as in terms of participation and approval. There's a link here to the eligibility policy. There's some new information this year around using AI and what's allowed and what's not. So please do take a look at that. So to create an account in zFairs for teachers, you want to go to the Create Account tab and create a teacher account here. This is for grades 6 through 8. You will add your username, your first name, last name, and your email. If you know that your school firewalls block external emails, please either use a different email or see if you can whitelist emails from zfairs.com and scifair.com. Then you'll enter your contact information. We do ask for your phone in case we're having trouble getting in touch with you because of blocks on email. And then choose a password. Both your username and your password are case sensitive, so you just want to make sure you're recording what case you're using when you make a note of your password. You're then going to choose your school from the drop-down menu. Please, if your school goes by possible shorter or longer names, try all of them to see if they're in the system. If they're not, you can add them or you can email us with questions. The next question is to give us a sense of how big your school program is for science fair. So these aren't necessarily just the kids that would go to region or state, but how many students do you support at your school who participate in science fair? This just gives us a good sense of what the program looks like. And then there's the agreement statement. So just read this over, make sure that you are aware of your supervision of the student project, and then click Save and Continue. Your account is now created. You will get a confirmation screen and you'll also get a confirmation email. If you don't receive those emails, please check your spam folders. If you don't get anything, let us know and we can identify if there's a block somewhere. I'm going to now move on to how students create their accounts and what they do to upload paperwork. And then I'll go back to the teacher portal at the end of the slideshow because the next final step is to mark those projects ready for review. For students, again, before you set up an account in zFairs, you want to review the ethics statement, make sure you know the rules and the expectations to participate in science fair. You want to complete your research plan and the other paperwork that's required. Your teacher has to have had to set up the account in zFairs first. You want to know what your project category is, have a title draft. You can change this later, as well as the short project description that you'll use in your account. You can change those things later, but we just want a starting place. You also should have your address, your zip code, your parent email, any phone numbers, and as I said, please do include your zip code because we do mapping with your zip codes, and so that's super helpful if you can be accurate in that. You want to choose a team lead if you're a team project. So the team lead creates the account first, all the way from the start to the end. The other team members should not create an account until the team lead is done because they'll have information for you to create an account. Please use Chrome. If you're on a tablet or a Chromebook, you might have some difficulty with some of the features, so just let us know if you have problems. So when you create an account, you're creating an account as a participant from the drop-down menu. You will add a username, a first name, last name, and an email. We suggest using email you check. You can use a parent or teacher email if you need to and with their permission, since we know that school firewalls block emails sometimes. The usernames are case sensitive, passwords are case sensitive. So if you're using uppercase or lowercase letters, make note of that when you write down your password or save your password so that you remember next time. If you use two first names regularly, you can put both of them in here so that if you follow up with us later, we can more easily identify you. Enter your personal information here. Please do include a cell phone in case we need to get in touch with you if there's a problem with email. For the gender and race questions, you can answer, prefer not to answer if that's your preference. You can use a parent phone or email if needed. And then again, you want to use a password that you will remember. The next bit of information is about your parent or guardian. You want to include that information so we have a way to get in touch with them if we need to. And again, make sure you know in advance what your address is and your city and your zip code. The next question is school information. So we are asking if your school is public or private. And so you'll select if it's public, it's private, if it's a charter or magnet school, or if it's a district approved homeschool, and then what towns it serves. So you want to start a new entry. Most students, when they create their accounts, they will start a new entry. If you are a team lead, you are the first one to create an account and you're going to start a new entry. If you are a team member, you will receive a code from your team lead and you will put that project key in here and do link to existing entry. But otherwise, you will start a new entry. You're going to select your school and your teacher. So again, your teacher needs to create the account first. You can find your school in here, and then your teacher, and then your grade. Your teacher will need to approve your project to be reviewed, so make sure you've talked to your teacher before you select them. Your project title and your category can be adjusted later if needed. Do choose the most appropriate category. So think about what type of scientist or engineer would be best suited to review your project and choose that. And then in terms of electrical outlets, think ahead. If you're going to be at the fair, you're going to need access to electrical outlets for your project, not to charge your phone or do something else, but for your project, do you need electricity to display a device? Again, if you're the team lead, then you're going to check this will be a team project. No one else should check that button. Other team members will get that project key. If anyone creates a team account by mistake or doesn't create a team account but needs to, let us know and we can link accounts afterwards, but try to do those account creations in order. For the description, you want to just write a short summary of your project. So this could just be the question you want to answer, the problem you want to solve, any keywords that identify the work you're doing are helpful. You can always edit this later in your profile tab. The next page will be the upload wizard. So on this paperwork tab, if you see up on the top left, you see the profile, the school, the entry. When you're navigating on this, each time you add a new page to your account, you're creating a new tab. So rather than use the back button or the forward button on your browser, you want to click back and forth on these tabs. That makes it easier to navigate. So on this tab, you're going to see your paperwork packet. This is the packet that's required for all students. There will also be a spot if there's additional paperwork needed. You don't need to upload the forms right away, but we do ask that you complete that process within 2 weeks so we can move the projects through the system. And then the final page is the agreements. This is to affirm that you're eligible to participate, that you read the rules, etc. So please do actually read them. Let us know if you have questions, and then save and continue. You will get your account confirmation. It'll have your project ID number. If you're a team project, you'll have that project key. Do save that email in case you need access to it later. This helps with what your username is because you'll need to log on next time with that username. Again, if you have a team, then you'll get that team information as well, and you can share that with your team members. The next time you log on or when you finish your account, you can now navigate around on these tabs. You can also go to your, this is my name up here, test. You can go to your profile and you can access this as well. You can also go to the paperwork tab up at the top to make changes to your paperwork. Okay, so paperwork uploader. So once your paperwork is complete, this means that you have taken your forms and you've downloaded them, printed them, signed them with pen, scanned them, and then uploaded again. Or the second option is to fill them out electronically and sign them electronically, but then save them as a PDF. So you have two options for your forms. Once you have those documents ready, you need to upload them. And then have your teacher mark them ready so we can review. So make sure you are following your deadlines, make sure you have a sense of when you need to do these things, and then you can get going. So to go to your paperwork uploader, you go to that paperwork tab or you go to my profile, and you get to your upload wizard. So it'll look something like this. So read the instructions as a reminder, and you only need the required paperwork. So in this case for middle school, it's only the MAMS paperwork packet. The template file is if you don't already have your paperwork downloaded, this is where you can get it. And you can find it there. If you need to add additional paperwork or other forms, you can use the additional paperwork tabs, but you only need this first one. Once you have your completed paperwork, I always recommend having that paperwork labeled with your name and what it is so that you can find it easily when you're uploading. You're going to select the upload file icon on the right, and then you're going to select that. This button is going to pop up. Again, you have another chance to take that template and you can copy that template. But if your paperwork is ready to go, then you're going to select a file to upload. You will upload it from your computer. And then it'll show you a little preview of what it looks like. This one is 8 pages. So you've selected that file to upload, and now you're going to upload the file. And it's going to take a little bit. And then it will show you the file was uploaded. So it says MAMS paperwork packet, and then you've got that green button. You can view your file. We always recommend viewing it, making sure that it did come out clearly and it's complete and it's legible. Sometimes scans can be kind of blurry. Sometimes the text is too small. So definitely check and make sure it's there. Once everything's complete, let your teacher know. Let them know you're ready to review. Teachers will review the paperwork, confirm completion, and then mark ready. The checkbox mark ready should not happen unless your paperwork's complete and legible. Legible means I can read it. It's not blurry. It's not too small. The SRC will then review your project. They'll reach out if they have questions. So do look at your emails and your dashboard. And if you had a restricted area project, you need to wait for that approval before you can begin your experimentation. If you're struggling with account creation or paperwork, do email us for assistance. Remember to work with your teacher or adult sponsor. Schools may have some additional rules for student projects. Complete and thorough research plans will speed up the process, minimize back and forth, and just make it easier and a stronger project. And remember that this is not registration for the fair. This is a process to help you be eligible to participate in the fair. So you will still need to have your teacher communicate with the fair in order to participate. Okay, teacher review. Once a teacher lets you know once a student lets you know that their paperwork is ready, then you can view their projects in zFairs. View their submission, make adjustments as needed. You have to check that box mark ready to let us know that it's ready for review. Again, this is because we want to make sure that what the student told you they're going to do is what they actually submitted. If you're a department head with multiple teachers supervising accounts, you can ask us to be the department head within the system so you can see all the projects from your school. So as a teacher, the only thing you need on this page is the review page. That's where you're going to access all the student paperwork. If you go to the My Students or My Participants tab, you can see all the students in your system. You can take a look at their projects. You can access them that way, but you don't need to do that. The only piece you have to do is the review. So you will look at the review tab. You'll see what the project looks like. If it's blue, then it means they have a project file uploaded. If it's empty or gray with that arrow, that means the file was not uploaded. So once you look at that, you can click on that link and it's going to open something up. You can also add additional paperwork by managing it if you need to add additional files. Once they've uploaded their paperwork, again, open it, make sure it's there, make sure the signatures are there. If you mark it ready and those things aren't complete, it slows things down with the back and forth. So just make sure it's there and reach out if you have questions. If something is incomplete, you can go back to them and either have them send to you or have them update. The change file button right up at the top is where you would change and replace a file. If you need to see any comments, you would go to that view comments page. So once you know everything is complete, then you can mark it ready. So you're just going to click that mark ready button. And then when we run the reports, we'll see that you saw it and you said it was good to go. Please do keep an eye on your dashboard and your email in case there's any follow-up. Emails will be sent when projects have been approved, but you can also view their status in the review tab. So if there's a brown line, maybe that means it's still being reviewed. If there's a red exclamation mark, it means it requires attention. But if there's this one check mark, that means it's good to go. And then there will have this little clipboard that says approved. And that means that it's approved and you're good. If there are multiple uploads, if they did additional forms and only one it has the check mark, that's fine. We only expect one check. And that's it. Please do reach out with questions. There are a lot of steps, but we're here to help. We'll get you through this. And again, this is to help make student projects stronger, but also safe. So let us know if you have questions. Reach out to your region if you have questions about any of the events. And thanks for supporting student projects.